The message appeared on my phone at 9:42 p.m., glowing cold and quiet in the dark living room. "The girls want company tonight, don't wait up." For a moment, I simply stared at the words. My wife had sent messages like this before. Nights out with coworkers, drinks after work, spontaneous girls' nights. I never questioned it. Trust was the foundation of our marriage, or at least that's what I had believed for the past 8 years. But that night, something felt different. Maybe it was the strange pause before she sent the message. Maybe it was the way my chest tightened when I read it. Or maybe it was the photograph sitting in my phone's gallery, the one I had taken only 10 minutes earlier. And when I replied to her message, I didn't send words. I sent a photo. Underneath it, I wrote only 4 words. Recognize them? Before the story begins, take a second to support the channel. If you believe in kindness, forgiveness, and second chances, please like the video, share it with someone who might need this story today, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps these stories reach people who might need hope tonight. My name is Nathan Cooper, and until that night, I believed my life was simple. I lived in a quiet neighborhood outside Columbus, Ohio. The kind of place where the sidewalks were always clean, where kids rode bicycles in the evenings and where neighbors waved from their porches as the sun went down. My wife Melissa worked at a marketing firm downtown, and I ran a small home renovation business. We weren't rich, but we had built a comfortable life together, or at least I thought we had. Melissa had always been ambitious. She worked long hours, often staying late for meetings, networking events, and company gatherings. I admired her drive. I told everyone how proud I was of her. I never wanted to be the husband who questioned her independence. But over the past few months, things had slowly changed. Her phone was always face down on the table. She began locking it with a new passcode. Her girls' nights became more frequent, and the stories about them were strangely vague. When I asked how the evening went, she would smile quickly and say something simple like, "It was fun," before changing the subject. Still, I ignored the uneasiness growing inside me, because love, when it's real, teaches you to trust. That evening had started like any other. I had finished dinner alone while Melissa got ready upstairs, saying she was meeting friends at a restaurant downtown. She wore a black dress I had never seen before, and for a brief moment, I wondered when she bought it. But the thought passed as quickly as it came. She kissed my cheek, told me not to wait up, and left. The house felt unusually quiet after the door closed. Around 9:30 p.m., I realized I had forgotten a folder in my truck parked outside. When I stepped onto the driveway, the cool night air wrapped around me, carrying the faint hum of distant traffic. That's when I noticed something strange. 2 cars were parked down the street near the corner, their engines off but headlights faintly glowing. At first I assumed they belonged to neighbors visiting someone nearby, but then I heard laughter. Familiar laughter. Curious, I walked slowly toward the corner, the gravel crunching beneath my shoes. As I got closer, the voices became clearer, and suddenly, my heart began pounding so loudly I could hear it in my ears, because one of those voices belonged to Melissa. She wasn't downtown. She wasn't at a restaurant. She was standing beside one of the parked cars only 30 yards from our house, and she wasn't alone. 3 women stood with her, all dressed up, holding drinks, laughing under the dim glow of the streetlight. 2 of them I recognized instantly, Lauren and Jessica, her coworkers whom she had introduced to me months earlier at a company picnic. But the 4th person standing beside them made my stomach drop. It was a man, tall, confident, leaning casually against the car as if he had been there many times before. Melissa stood closer to him than she did to the others, her body angled toward him in a way that spoke volumes without saying a single word. They were laughing about something. About 10 minutes earlier, I had quietly lifted my phone and taken a picture from the shadows near a tree. None of them noticed. I walked back to the house slowly, my hands trembling, my mind racing through memories that suddenly looked different under this new light. Late nights, secretive smiles, the sudden distance between us, and then, just minutes later, my phone buzzed. Her message appeared. "The girls want company tonight, don't wait up." I stared at the screen for a long moment. Then I opened the photo, and I sent it. Underneath I wrote, "Recognize them." The response came almost instantly. First 3 dots appeared, then they disappeared, then appeared again. Nearly 5 minutes passed before another message arrived. "Where did you get that?" I didn't answer right away. Instead, I sat quietly in the living room, the glow of the television flickering across the walls, thinking about everything we had built together over the past 8 years. The house we painted ourselves, the road trips we took through Tennessee and the Carolinas, the nights we stayed up late planning the future we thought we shared. Eventually, I typed just one sentence. "I'm sitting at home." Another pause, then another message. "Please don't misunderstand." Those 3 words hurt more than anything else she could have said, because they meant she knew exactly what I had seen. Outside, headlights flickered through the curtains as a car started. I walked to the window and watched as one vehicle slowly pulled away from the corner. Then the second followed. 10 minutes later, the front door opened. Melissa stepped inside. Her makeup was still perfect, but her face had lost all color. She looked smaller somehow, like the confidence she wore outside had evaporated the moment she walked through the door. For a long time, neither of us spoke. The silence between us felt heavier than any argument. Eventually, she sat across from me, her hands trembling slightly. I could see tears forming in her eyes, though she was trying desperately to hold them back. And in that moment, something inside me shifted. Not anger, not revenge, just sadness. Because the truth was simpler and more painful than betrayal alone. Somewhere along the way, we had stopped seeing each other. Work had consumed her life, my business had consumed mine. The quiet distance between us had grown so slowly we barely noticed it until it became a canyon. She began speaking softly, explaining how the man was someone from work who had been helping her with a new project. How the attention made her feel noticed again. How the late nights started as harmless conversations and slowly became something she didn't know how to stop. But as she spoke, her voice cracked under the weight of guilt, and I realized something important. She wasn't defending herself. She was ashamed. We sat there for nearly an hour, talking honestly for the first time in months. Not about blame, but about loneliness, about missed signs, about how easy it is for 2 people who love each other to drift apart without realizing it. Outside, the neighborhood had gone completely quiet. Finally, Melissa wiped her tears and whispered something that changed everything. She said she had already ended things with him earlier that night. That tonight had been meant to be the last time she saw him, a goodbye she didn't know how to explain to me. I didn't know whether to believe every word. Trust doesn't repair itself instantly. But I did know one thing. She was still sitting here, fighting for us. And sometimes, love isn't about perfection. Sometimes it's about the courage to face the damage and try to rebuild anyway. Months have passed since that night. We started counseling. We began having dinner together again without phones. We started taking walks around the neighborhood like we used to when we first moved in. Slowly, the distance between us has begun to close. The scar will always exist. But scars mean healing happened. If this story touched your heart even a little, please take a moment to like the video, share it with someone who believes relationships are worth fighting for, and subscribe to the channel for more emotional stories like this. And before this story ends, I have one small request for you. Comment the word hope if you believe broken things can still be repaired. Because